Good evening. This video is going to cover applying the bobbin thread and getting it wound on the bobbin using the Muyupai leather patcher. I'll be going over the parts where you're going to need a thread that is thick enough to use for sewing leather. It'll be placed on the main portion. It'll go threaded through the top hole. You'll skip the spring tensioner for this proposal. You'll go through this one, over the top, down and back to the bobbin winder, which is this piece that swings back away from you when you're using the machine. So this machine comes with this bobbin winder. It is not the best, but it does do its job if you learn how to play with it. It comes with a tapered screw. As you can see here, this has been filed down so it's more of a cone. And it applies friction with the spring to the wheel, so as you crank it, this will then turn to wind. The bobbins are very small. Some people say that it's a good idea to just hand fill them up. I can't hold on to one side and try to fill them up and get it right. It'll fall out of my fingers too much. So what I've learned to do is I've taken the bobbin, I've cleaned them up, and I use my Dremel and I cut a slot across the top of it. This allows me to put the thread through and through the main stem so I can then put it onto here and then wind it. It also allows me to see from the top of the machine when I put it in if there's any thread left. So I'm going to go through using this prop bobbin that I'm using for this one, and I'm going to re-thread my bobbin. I'm going to go through the top hole. If the thread wants to behave today. As you can see, it doesn't. I'm going to go, instead of under, I'm going to go over it. This will give me a directional tension so that it will unwind from the spool, and then we'll go here. So now I'm going to feed this into the bobbin hole through the side, just like any of the modern bobbins do, and these don't have holes. You could drill a hole into it, put it through the axle and make it stick out the back, so now I have a place to hold on to it, and I'm going to stick it on here. Now the pressure of the screw will hold the thread into place. So now all I have to do is hold a little bit of pressure on the line, apply pressure here to make sure that I get a good contact, and by keeping a pinch gently, I can help feed the line on the bobbin from side to side so that you don't overcharge only one side of the bobbin. And this thread was already on this bobbin, so for this example, as you can see, your bobbin is now wound. The bobbin is then put into the carriage, which is this piece. In this fashion, you have to get your thread into the hole on the inside. There's two holes. You'll want to use the one on the bottom, farthest away from the tip, and it'll go out through that second hole and in up through here to go up through the machine. And this will look like the following. Move the camera over here to a white background so you'll see this well. So this then becomes the hole placement. I'm going to go into the bottom hole. And it's wound over, and then this thread will then go up through the bottom hole. If you want to have a little bit more tension to keep it from unwinding quickly and make sure that you get good tension, there is a tension spring inside here, and with a small screwdriver or tweezers you can get your thread behind this and you can tighten it and adjust it for use. Leaving it as is will give you a decent tension. Most people like to have a little bit of additional pressure just so that the wire gives a good pull. So this part is a bit tricky to get underneath this spring. And that will give you enough pressure so that the bottom tension and the top tension are good as you go through your leather. So there's the bobbin and its carriage, and then we go to the machine where we're going to insert it here. This is a pretty heavy duty spring steel, so you'll want to swivel it across and you will drop your carriage into the machine, making sure that in the resting position, which is the handle facing down, that your needle is in the medium position, that your needle will be down. The carriage will be, the part that rotates the bobbin is at the top. If it's not in that direction, it may need to be rotated in order for correct movement. You have to lift it up a little bit until it finds its place. So it's facing upwards, and then your carriage will fall into place. With a lot of difficulty because it's very, very tight. Alright, not kidding when I say it's very tight in there. One of the things some people say is this groove that goes under the thread is hard or too small and can sometimes be dremeled to get a larger groove if you use thicker wire, thicker thread. So once that's done, then you'll leave it hanging out the back end of this in order to prep. I don't have a needle there, so I don't have to worry about the position. Just bring it into place and it's ready for sewing. Alright, the next video will be needle and threading, so you can see how the thread comes up.